Hello, welcome everyone to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are so pleased to have you here on the new streamingnetwork.com. I am your host today. I am Cece Schatz. I am the doyenne of relationship building. I am a divorce, dating, and a life coach, and I am the owner of Going Solo Network, Inc. So you can find me on goingsolonetwork.com and then also right here on the new streamingnetwork.com. So let's talk a little bit about what we're doing. But before we do, we're going to be talking about Going Solo Good Reads, our author's corner. We're going to meet one of the wonderful authors today. But before we start, I want you to notice the t-shirt I'm wearing. And I want to give it's a little big for me, but I love it anyhow. Which side is it? You can see it here, but it is from the peacefulempowermentworks.org. And I want to do a big shout out to them, peacefulempowermentworks.org. They do great work helping others move through some really the most difficult times in their lives, really embracing those around them and really moving them forward. And we have a wonderful show each and every week here. It's right here on the new streaming network. So check that out. So it's Be Here Now. So, and Peaceful Empowerment Work Show. So this is a wonderful t-shirt. If you guys want one like it, we would love to be able to send you one. Just do a donation to their organization and they'll be happy to supply you with one. So again, that's peacefulempowermentworks.org. So thank you for the t-shirt, everyone. Now let's move on to our author because we cannot waste another minute. We are going to have such a great show today. And I am so excited to bring our author up. Right here we have it's just going to be a great show. We have Scott Grace here with us today, and we're going to talk about his wonderful book. It's called Mindful Masculinity. So let's talk a little bit about you, sir, because you are a unique individual in your own right. You're an actor, singer, speaker, you're a workshop leader, a life coach, and you are a comedian, stand-up comedian. So tell us a little bit. I don't know if we can say more about you, but you are a very interesting man. So tell us a little bit about you and why you decided to write this interesting book.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me, Cece. Wow. I'm a neurotic, Brooklyn-born Jewish atheist turned Buddhist turned mystical Christian that spent lifetimes on couches and therapists and with coaches and gradually learned to choose peace, joy, and happiness over self-criticism and learn to love myself and be myself. And I have fun ways of inspiring people to do that. Kind of a combination of my sense of humor and creativity and introspection, self-awareness, and the willingness to be publicly honest about my shadow. And so when I write books, I write from that place of raw honesty and playfulness. And it makes it easy to go down, makes it fun.
Yeah, it sounds great. So this book is very interesting. I was looking at your media sheet that you had sent us, and it was quite interesting all that was written with regards to you. So tell us a little bit about the book because what I read was that it's good for both men and women, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely.
So share with us a little bit about this being mindful.
Mindful is a fancy word for aware.
Hmm.
I like to say that most men know more about what's under the hoods of their cars than what's under their own psyche hoods, and that I'm on a mission to make that change, to make it less taboo for men to get to know themselves and for women to get to know the male wounding from our culture and to have more patience and understanding of what a man deals with, what a man's wounds are, which are not as easily seen and revealed as when a woman is in pain.
Okay.
Men hide their pain behind pride, arrogance. I'm cool. Everything's fine.
You're so
And
right.
sometimes bullets and bombs. Sometimes we actually will kill other men and women uh, to avoid grief, to avoid shame. That's how elaborate our hiding systems are.
Yeah, I know how difficult it is. I help a lot of individuals going through, relationship loss, divorce mainly. And I have a huge male following, which I'm so grateful for. And I love our men. I think we have great men out there. And, but I do know that they heal differently. And it is difficult for them to share. And when they do, when they let their guard down and share what they're feeling, what they're going through, the experiences that they've had in life, I'm really so surprised that how strong they can be. So tell us a little bit about what can we expect and what can we do to help men be able to have a safe place to be able to share with us.
Are you speaking as women, like what I would communicate to women about that?
Yeah, yeah. Let's learn something here so maybe we can be better and treat our men better.
Well, women are culturally better at coming from the heart, and men uh, have learned that their safe place is being right. So I would say to women, please don't match men with your own power. Like, in other words, don't try to be right. Let the guy be right and come from your heart and speak from your heart. In other words, you could say, you may be right, but I feel distant from you and I'd like to feel closer. So that takes the conversation from the head to the heart by being
Mhm.
the first one to reveal vulnerability, because it's harder for men to reveal vulnerability, but you have to model it, you have to do it. And it's only by invitation, not by forcing, does a man start to feel safe.
Mhm.
And it's not your responsibility for him to feel safe.
Yeah. That's interesting because I know that sometimes when we, as well as a woman, okay, I can only speak that way because that's the only sex I am. But the reality is that sometimes when we try to help, we think we're helping, and maybe we're probably not. We get into this mother mode, right? Because that's how we are with our children. When we want to help and nurture them, we become this, in this mother mode. And then when we have a spouse or a partner or someone we truly care about, and we see that they're going through something, then we kind of automatically hit that mother button again and we get into that. How do we as women approach, our partners or the men in our life by not hitting that mother button and still give them what they need? That's a big question, I know. So
I love it. I love it. I've never been asked this before. Let's see what comes out of my mouth.
well, I am different, so I am unique.
All right. Yeah. I'm getting that about you, Cece.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say uh, that in general, because we're speaking in generalizations, women are doing battle or healing the tendency for codependency, and
Mhm.
men are suffering from a lack of self-nurturing. So they draw out the nurturing in women because they're desperate for it and they haven't built it inside themselves, and they haven't gotten it from their men's work, their men's circles. So they don't. The only place they go to meet their emotional needs is this one woman, and it's a burden. It's overbearing for a woman's heart. So the trick part of the question you asked is, how do we meet their needs and blah and not press the mother button? Maybe you can't. Maybe
Mm.
you can't. Maybe you got to give up trying to meet their needs and be their all and their everything. Because I don't think it's really healthy for a culture, for anyone to depend on another person for their emotional needs. We're tribal beings. We are meant to feed each other and support each other as tribes, not as one person. uh, it's an enormous burden. So I think women need to practice a little more narcissism when it comes to not touching that mother button. You know, just just don't go there. It kills the sexual chemistry.
Yeah. Now, I've been told that before, like in dating, that is one of the problems in dating is that women, because we are now such leaders, in the workforce and doing different things, we have that masculine side to us now. And so then we
Yes.
come home to our partners, we don't shut that masculine side off. And so what do you think about that? I mean, I hear this topic all the time.
So do I.
You're
It
the expert,
is,
so yeah.
it's a challenge. And you know, I I think that evolutionary speaking, where both sexes are becoming more whole brained. I like to call it whole brain because the left side of the brain is the intellect and the masculinity, and the right side is the intuition and the feminine side.
Mhm.
And we're being called as a species to be all of it. Uh, no more just manly men and, princesses. It's like we're being called to develop both sides of our soul, both sides of our brains. And it's a tricky time because when you are a woman, like receiving love and softening into receptivity, you do have to give up that masculine hat. And there are rituals, there's there's things you can do, bubble baths and massages, and teaching a man how to nurture you in to that receptive place, which could be anything from candles to, there's, every woman has knows what she needs to soften and take off that masculinity hat and let a man drive the car. And it's so beautiful when that happens, when a man gets to lead, not control, but lead a woman with love.
That's very interesting because I so agree with that. I think that a lot of times if a woman is shed, and this is just my opinion, so tell me, sir, if I'm wrong. Tell me, Scott, just correct me because I'm here to learn, like everyone here that's listening. But
Mm.
for me, I feel like when a woman's really into her masculine mode, so to speak, when she's with her partner, there's a reason for that, because I think naturally we want to be in the feminine role. We want to feel that way. We want to be that way. But when we have to flip the coin and be more masculine, there's something that's happening within that relationship that's creating that's making you then become kind of masculine. What do you think about that?
It's tricky. It's a tricky time in our development because men are accessing their feminine side and realizing that they do have a need for nurturing. And sometimes it's been so out of balance. There's been so many Marlboro men and John Waynes, and so many messages for men to keep it all together, that when they start to touch their hearts, huge amounts of sadness, huge amounts of neediness comes up. And so, I'm not a big optimist when it comes to peace and harmony in relationships. I think there is a certain amount of inevitable tension and evolutionary madness. We're in the wash, rinse, and spin cycle of human healing, human cleansing, human development. So no easy answers are coming out of my mouth.
Oh, I thought maybe we'd get a one, two, three. This is the answer on how to live life
The 10
happily and healthy.
steps. Yeah, no steps.
But what I love so much, Scott, is that it's really about relationship building, isn't it? So when you're building a relationship with your partner or potential partner, or even friends or whatever, you're learning about them, and you're starting to understand not only your needs, but start to begin to understand someone else's needs. And that's part of the being aware, I think, of what
Mm.
is happening within the relationship. So tell us a little bit more about your book. So, as
In a
you were
moment, in
writing
a
this,
moment, in a moment, I have something to say.
oh,
I'm interrupting you.
I like this. Come on.
All right. So, what you said inspired me to remember something I read from a book called How to Be an Adult in Relationships. And he said that in the healthiest of relationships, people meet each other's needs about 20% of the time. And that's the best case scenario. I think it's more important to learn to hear, respect, honor, and appreciate each other's needs. But once we start getting into love means meeting each other's needs all the time or most of the time, it's fantasy land. It just doesn't exist. And it'll burn us out to even try. That's why I'm such a big proponent of living more communal, tribally, having very close friends, male support, female support, not leaning on one person for all of that.
Right, right. So when we're talking about needs, right? How do we tell each other? How do we make sure there's an understanding that, you know, because half the time I don't even think we know what our needs are, right? And so, we got to figure out number one what our needs are before we can possibly even think about figuring out what their needs might be.
Oh, it's pretty insane out there. But you said half the time. You're giving humanity a lot of credit. When you say half the time, I'd say 10% of the time. Needs are authentic and they're universal and they never involve one person. So we have strategies for meeting our needs and we have needs. And very often we confuse the two. So I call this flight attendant language. Like when a flight attendant says, I need you to put on your seatbelt. It's confusing your need, which might be for safety or to support the person's safety or to help the airlines avoid a lawsuit. That's a need. The strategy is please put on your seatbelt. So once you use the words I need and then you too, you're confusing your strategy and your needs. So there's a lot of confusion about our needs. Marshall Rosenberg, one of my teachers, who used to say that when he does couples counseling, that he guarantees that once people express their needs clearly, that within 20 minutes he will help them resolve their differences. And it's a trick question because he knows that while that is true, most people are in conflict because they're not aware of their needs and they're not communicating their needs and they're confusing their strategies and their needs. So people will say when he says that, well, I need him to respect my time. I need her to stop criticizing me so much. And so
Oh yeah, I've heard
people
that
are just
before.
genuinely disconnected from our genuine needs. And that's part of why so many of us are in coaching, relationships, and therapy to really get to know who we are. And I think that's more important right now. Your show is called Going Solo, and I love that.
Mhm.
I think it's more important right now for us to get to know ourselves than to try to have successful relationships. If a relationship happens, it's a gift, it's a blessing. You can't manifest it, you can't control it, you can't declare it, you can't, like we don't have the power. But if somebody comes along and it's a good fit, that's a blessing. And
Mhm.
it's also an assignment, meaning that the best of partners is going to help you see, smell, and feel your shit, your unconscious stuff. That's part of what a relationship does. It's like a colonic. It it brings stuff up from your childhood, from your past, so that you can resolve it and treat yourself differently. Because when your father brought that stuff up, you were powerless. You were a child. You didn't have a voice. But now that you're an adult, you can respond differently to that energy. You can respond with a voice.
That's very powerful, very, Very important. So before we take our break, let's just, and I don't know if we can do this very quickly or not, can we give an example of what individuals' needs would be? So, because I know like
Yes.
when we're starting to date, right, they can make a list of what they're looking for in someone.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
let's talk about like what our needs like would be.
Okay. 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 So it's definitely not tall, dark, and handsome.
You.
Sorry. I know I just half the women listening to the show have turned it off. No. Um, let's see. Needs could be respect, consideration, safety, security, uh, self-expression, freedom of expression, sexual expression, um, the right to have boundaries and the freedom to say no. Uh, I know we're taking a break, but if you get me on a roll, I'll keep going. There's plenty of needs.
Well, maybe what we'll think, let's think about this. Let's think about what you said. And when we
Okay.
come back, let's talk about some more of those because I think it's important for us to know if we want to sit down and really start thinking about what are we serious about? What are our serious needs that we need? Like maybe, I don't know if we can name five or six of them that's truly important to us. We need to kind of evaluate all of the needs that are out there. So it's nice to be able to have that, for you to be able to list a little bit of them so they can start to understand what they
Yeah.
need to do. Then
Yes.
we'll talk about how do we start working towards, being successful in creating those needs for us. As you said, the first part of the show, you had mentioned that, we need to really understand ourselves and know our own needs, right? So it's not up to someone else to fulfill our needs. It's up to us to fulfill our needs. I thought you said that. So if you didn't, you can
I
fix
did.
you okay, then you can
I
correct
stand
me.
behind that.
Okay, Scott, you are
And
wonderful.
here's the book. Here's the book we've been resisting promoting.
Oh yes.
Mindful Masculinity, a book for women, a book for men and the women who love them. It's on Amazon. And forgive me for not talking about it because this conversation is so juicy and most of the stuff is in the book anyway.
Yes, and it's a well worth book to read. And of course, you guys can get that on Amazon, so don't hesitate. And then we'll show the book again when we come back. So you guys were listening to Scott Grace. He is wonderful. We're having a great time with him. He's an actor, singer, speaker, workshop leader. He's a life coach and a stand-up comedian. As you can see, his personality is so wonderful, and we're having a great time here today. So his book is called Mindful Masculinity. So please run out and get it on Amazon. Don't hesitate. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Author's Corner. Meet the author. This is newstreamingnetwork.com on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to Going Solo Goodreads Author's Corner. Meet the author. Today we have a wonderful author here with us. We're talking about his great book, Mindful Masculinity, with Scott Grace. You're listening to the newstreamingnetwork.com on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. And we are so pleased to have you here with us. I am Cece Schatz. I'm your host here today. I'm the doyenne of relationship building, and I am so pleased to be here with Scott. You are a wonderful, wonderful guest, and I'm loving our conversation. We not always get to go so deep into, an individual such as yourself, which you are. I could definitely see that you're a life coach, and you help people, constantly being able to understand really what their needs are and helping them through, what's going on in their life so that they can not only feel good about themselves, but, with, building relationships with others. So we do appreciate you and all that you are giving us. You guys, if you missed the first part of the show, you got to go back and listen to it because it's quite entertaining. I'm enjoying it myself. I'm learning a great deal. But we closed out talking about, what the various different types of needs are. And so did we miss anything that you think is very important that those out there need to be hearing?
There is a list, and I recommend people download it. You can find it on the internet. Nonviolent Communication: A List of Universal Feelings and Needs. Uh, study it. I have my clients study it, especially women, but and anyone who's not in touch with their feelings and their needs.
Mhm.
Just start looking at the words, learn the language of vulnerability, and then you'll be able to start to speak it.
Yeah, that's great advice.
I would say that from my own evolution, I have uh, had to switch my fundamental place of residence from am I good enough to what are my needs? It's like the basic question that emanates from my psyche used to be, am I doing it right? Is there something wrong with me? To and what's wrong with me and how can I fix it? That was my quest. And now
Mhm.
it's like more like, wow, what are my needs in this moment and how can I meet them? And
Yeah, that's good.
one of the beautiful things is that I don't have to meet the whole entire enchilada. Just feeling a little better is the best. Just a little better, and then a little better, and you build on it. But it's not always realistic where you could say, "Oh, my need is rest, so I'm going to, take the day off." It's not always realistic. You're not always able to meet your needs, but just learning to identify them and support them, be behind them, is an enormous relief
Yeah,
from
I think
where most of us are.
that's great because a lot of times, if you're not aware of really what your needs are at that particular moment or whatever, it's how are you going to possibly, be able to meet those needs? So yeah, so it's good to understand it, and there's nothing that's going to help you by beating yourself up, right? There's nothing that's going to, you know, when you have that negative voice in your head, it's not going to propel you into anything positive. So, but turning and flipping it to saying, okay, what is my need at this very moment? What is it that I truly do need to happen? And then fulfilling that is truly a great thing. So let's talk about your book because I don't want to. I know we've been talking about life itself because you are a wonderful life coach, and I know you help many people out there. And we'll share your website too. I want to make sure we do that because we get talking and I forget. So his website is scottsongs.com. That's SCOTTSONGS.com. So you can go to his website and connect with him there. And then, of course, you want to purchase the book right on Amazon. So you can go right to Amazon, and it's called Mindful
Mindful masculinity.
Mindful Masculinity.
Yeah,
Told
and
you it was good, right? But
both on Amazon and on my website, you can listen to Audible clips, also on my YouTube. And I always recommend people buy it on Audible because of the way that I read it. I weave in the comedy and the music, and it's just more spontaneous and authentic. It's like people feel like they're in a relationship with me while they listen to me reading the book.
yeah, I love that. Well, I don't. I pretty much do all my books by Audible now because when I'm in the car, I listen to it. When at home, I listen to it. It's great. It's a great way to be able to do it. And the other thing is these books that we share with you, and I think Scott's book, it's really an empowering book. So it's going to really lift you up. It's going to help you to be able to understand and move forward. And like you had mentioned, any women out there, if you have a man in your life that you want to try to help and support, I mean, I think the book would be an eye opener for them, right?
Yes, yes, and yes, because it makes self-awareness go down easy. It's smooth. It's a smooth drink because of the way that I combine humor and vulnerability, and I use my own life as a guinea pig. So I don't preach. I don't even teach. I just tell stories, and the stories teach better than any teaching that I could possibly do. True stories, my stories,
That's
my
wonderful.
life. It's filleted open so that men and women can learn and grow.
That's great. Now, are there anything that you want to share with the audience that we haven't actually touched on today?
I would say let's play. In other words, part of me is just spontaneously wanting to answer a question in rhyme. So I put it to you, CC. Is there anything you'd like to ask me? And this time, I'm going to answer in rhyme, if that's not a crime. So you asked me a serious question. Like the questions you've been asking me are wonderful, but this
Right.
time,
Well, okay. So, what I'd like to ask you is, was there any one time in your life that really, I mean, was a turning point for you to say, I have to write this book? Was there any one special time you said, I've got to write this book to get this out to the world?
I'm going to look deep inside Scott and give you the answer. Absolutely not. The book has been very much a progression. No big light bulb moments over my head. No, oh, it's 4 in the morning, but I got to get out of bed because this book has possessed me and it needs to be written. No, there was never a moment where I was truly quite smitten. It grew on me so gradually and eventually became my cup of tea. I didn't know I had this book inside. This book was spending all my life hiding. But golly, it needed to be written, and I wrote it. And now I am smitten.
You are one talented man. Let me tell you, you are so talented. I am enjoying you so much, and I really do think that your book is not only going to be enjoyable to listen to, because you had recommended doing the Audible, but to also I think will take away a lot of learning keys to it. So I want to thank you so much for being with us here today. So again, let's show the book. I'm going to put you front and center so people can see you. And we'll show the book right there.
I feel like who was that person on like the Wheel of Fortune? She was a beautiful model who would model the things they were giving
Vanna
away.
White.
Vanna, I feel like Vanna, you too can go home with this wonderful new book.
Ah, you were so cute. You cracked me up. It absolutely cracked me up. But I'm having a great time. You are a great guy. So again, we have Scott Grace here with us. Mindful Masculinity, if I can say it. You can purchase it right on Amazon. Check out his website, Scott Songs. That's SCOTT Songs, SONGS.com. He's got his information there. And of course, reach out to him if you guys are interested in, possibly talking to him. He does workshops and he's a life coach. And as you can see, he's a stand-up comedian, which we love so much. You're an author, singer, and a wonderful speaker. And so we want to thank you for everything that you've shared with us here today. Do you think there's another book around the corner for you?
Well, they always surprise me. This is number 4, and I always say this is my last, and I'm always wrong. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, I write stuff on Facebook, and then a couple of years go by, and I realize, oh my God, I think if I took a lot of this stuff I've been writing, boom, a new book.
Yeah,
So that's what
absolutely.
happens.
Absolutely. I say the same thing with the shows that we do. I think our shows are marvelous. We have some great, not only entertaining, but we've got some great information that can truly help people. And so I've often said that myself, as we could put that pen to paper, it would be so nice to be able to have it for those who enjoy reading and maybe
Indeed.
condensing it into the Audible book, which would
Mhm.
be great. So you are a wonderful human being, a delight to be with you today. And I actually will tell you, I enjoyed the conversation. You're a lot of fun, but we've learned something along the way. And I think that we've learned that, we need to understand our needs, right? And before we can help somebody else with their needs. And maybe we shouldn't even be helping them. Maybe they need to learn their own needs and help themselves. So we have learned something here today, sir. So thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you. And I'd be happy to come back.
Oh, I would love to have you. I know we could have some really interesting conversations for sure. Well, you guys are listening to Goodreads Author's Corner. Meet the author. We have our wonderful author here today, Scott Grace. Please run out and get his book. It is a wonderful book, and I think it certainly will open your eyes, both men and women, to maybe changing your life a little bit and embracing the life around you. So thank you so much. I am Cece Schatz. You're listening to newsstreamingnetwork.com on WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. We are so pleased to be here with you today, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.